This is called a cold open.
What's that? Are we recording?
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
we're streaming.
Hello.
Oh, we're not recording though. Good pickup. Hey everyone on the stream. This is the cold open to the
Special name.
podcast.
Yeah. New venture. It's a testing for one
Tech-
foot in the water.
Technically hasn't started yet. Good practice for me to not immediately interrupt you.
I think the trick is to record everything and then you edit the bad parts out later. That's it. This is like a live stream and then you take out the chunky bits later, right? And if you're on the stream, if you're lucky to be on the stream, then you'll see the B-roll.
Now that's a cold open.
It's very cold open.
So everyone, hey, this is Lucas, and we're gonna record we're doing a pilot, I guess.
Pilot for a podcast. I approached Sam with the idea. We've worked together for ages. I approached Sam with the idea to be like, hey, we should actually try and like formalize the podcast. It'd just be fun as a little format, extra format, another way to discuss things, another avenue for like talking about what's up. We already talk about what's up anyway, so why not record it? And we have good insights and jokes and lots of yucks. So capture that lighting, seal the bottle.
And you'll see I've managed to set up multicam.
We're on multicam. Well, we're going for like a live TV, like switch between the cameras. Hey, down that lens, right?
Like Seinfeld.
Like they do that. They don't do that.
I actually don't know.
That's not how Seinfeld works.
It's like a type of I need to talk into the microphone too. So
Bring it across if you need to.
if this is an audio podcast, we probably shouldn't talk about the cameras too much.
Well, they always do things like they're like, okay, for the podcast listeners, you can't see this, and then they describe if you're showing something up. We're not showing anything up yet.
So I think we've got good levels. The cameras are working.
You could do a quick stop recording if you wanted, and then be like, okay, let's assume that's real footage. Are you happy with that? But I think
we're live.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
All right. So I guess I've recorded one podcast.
Okay.
It's
It's better than me. You're winning by default. It was my idea, so
Well,
you lead it.
I would always call it negative one. We did a dry run without recording at the bar.
Okay.
Me, Chloe, and James.
Okay.
And it was just, we were so riveting and charming.
Beautiful.
And we were like, actually, this is perfect. Let's take that again at home. And we were so drunk and we were talking over each other and arguing. And it was
Pretty easy for things to accidentally devolve.
really
Even if you got
depressing by the end of it.
the chemistry thing going on.
I wonder, is there a hotkey to switch shaders? No. Okay.
Woo.
Don't do shader changes.
I don't change why it's so cool.
I was thinking that maybe we could get
Ooh.
something that is like
Yeah.
a bit more.
Remarsh tops. Yeah, it's
It looks cool, but it's like.
I like.
Oh, it was just the one that it already was. Sorry, what's
Sick.
fucking wrong with me?
Sick. That's
Okay,
cool.
so that's all. Just the.
If this podcast took visual form, it would look like that. That's the whole gag, right?
I think I don't know what I was looking for then, but the.
Do you want me to? I'll MC. Do you want me to take?
Please do.
Take,
Yeah,
take the
yeah,
reins. All right.
I'm used to just
Yeehaw.
streaming and just talking for like 4 hours.
Work the different formats. That works great for a stream. Episode 1. Welcome to episode 1. It's a podcast to pilot. The tentative title we got is Spatial Jam. Spatial Jam because we work in spatial computing. That's the name everyone's using now. Used to be called XR, but it's also going to overlap a lot with just bleeding edge tech because there's so many exciting stories and so much cool stuff happening. It's hard to contain. I think if we tried to be like, no, it's just VR, just XR, we would be like, by the way, what happened with AI? What happened with this? So let's take the reins off. It's about bleeding edge tech. There's too much exciting stuff happening. Welcome to Spatial Jam episode 1. What's the overall theme? Each episode could have an overall theme. This one doesn't. We're brand new. We don't have one yet. Don't worry about it.
Maybe the theme could be experimenting with new. No, that's just what we're doing.
Experiments in live correspondence transmission coming to you live from space.
Data over the wire.
Yeah. Morse code 2.0. All right. I'm going to start us off. We've got to keep some sub-rails.
We can edit all. We can cut all that.
Oh, that was the best intro. That was the best we could have ever hoped for.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't think you could have gotten that.
In the
It was-
podcast that I listen to, they always joke about editing out parts.
Let's
That
edit
have
that
just
out.
happened.
I'm going to edit
They-
out what you just
There we go.
That's
That's
the only
good.
thing we're going to edit out. All right. Step 1. Who are you? Who are you?
Okay, so I'm Sam. I am. I was kind of like a coder by accident, I guess. I really it's more like I was so impatient that I had to learn how to make it myself. Been doing using game engines to do VR software development with you for 9 years, I guess now. And have sort of worked in design and other more design roles and making slideshows and stuff, but have kind of honed in on just going on the computer and typing it to do what I want.
Yeah. Smash buttons until the thing you want happens, right?
Except my fingers are. I'm 37, and my fingers are starting to hurt.
Yeah, I can edit that out. You got to say your fingers are feeling stronger than ever.
Oh yeah, because
They're
they
ripped.
need to present like
Yeah.
health and virility. My fingers are stronger than ever.
Yeah, they're just getting stronger and stronger. Possibly made of adamantium.
Who are you?
Should I leave? I'm not meant to be in here. My name's Lucas. Hello. You know who I am. Why'd you ask that? I've got a really similar trajectory to you. Like, I feel like a lot of sort of creative coders would say a similar thing. You know, like I got impatient with not being able to. I had my own ideas for games. I grew up gaming a lot. I wanted to get into game design. Shigeru Miyamoto was like my hero. And I wanted to make my own games. And so I'd draw, like, grandma would give me notepads and I'd be like, all right, this is my character and this is how the game works. And I'd draw everything out. And then I went to uni and tried to work with people. Then I just got impatient. I was like, how hard can it be? I'll just give it a go. Unity was the hot thing. It was 2010. It was fun. I didn't get it for years. I kept looking at it. I had teachers who were just smacking themselves in the forehead like, come on, man, it's not that bad. It's keywords. And eventually it just clicked. I think it was self-taught, largely self-taught. I just kept trying it until it worked. And then I kept trying new things until it worked. Got rigid bodies going, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, before you know it, I was making little games for myself. I met Sam, applied what I'd learned to VR. It was cool. We got some contract stuff.
We met on Reddit.
Yes.
I made a post on Reddit being like, I
Yeah.
want to, like, basically I was like, would someone want to work together on VR stuff? And I'll like, basically start a business together if we like each other. And one person said that my post was exploitative and like wicked. I can't remember. I just remember
It wasn't me. You should clarify that
And
immediately.
and then Lucas was like, oh, hey, that sounds really cool. I made this stuff in VR. And I was like, oh, because you know when you like someone is like angry at you online, you're just like so shocked. I remember thinking like, oh, I've done such a terrible thing. And I'm so glad that you responded before I like deleted the post, because I was just like, oh.
It was a close call.
Yeah.
Well, I had a dev kit 1 I signed up for the first Oculus thing, and I had a dev kit 1. I tried a little bit of stuff. It was fun. And I was like, these are cool skills. This is obviously such an interesting space. It's where things are going to be going slowly but surely. So, and you'd done a similar thing. You've got a dev kit 1.
Yeah, I had a DK1, and I like also maybe at that point had we gotten or maybe it was after we got the Oculus Rift as well, the one that was not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well they sent us a couple for free. I think that was and I was overseas. I was in another country, and I
kind of on a European tour technically.
Yeah.
You were like in Romania. Every time I tuned in, you'd be like somewhere else, and I was like, how is he doing this? And then turning around and doing business calls with these guys.
Yeah, because I was like doing this sort of digital nomad thing, but one of the reasons I was sick of moving was because I couldn't really have like a fixed VR space when you
need a studio,
have the
you
trackers.
kind of need a studio and a tracking points. Well, setting it up and down would have been
Yeah, so like and then because remember you would have this. We still had the studio in Australia, and I'd be like sending you stuff. So our first proper job was working for a glove company. Can you explain it? Sorry, I just like.
Yeah, of course. It's Contact CI. They're doing haptic glove stuff. It was the style at the time was like trying to augment the at the time the Oculus platform as much as you could, make new hardware and be like, can you have foot tracking? Like it was all the stuff on Kickstarter. It was like you can do foot tracking, you can do head tracking, you can do shoulder tracking. Everyone was trying to figure out how to like augment the platform and make it even better and do all this stuff. So one of these guys was doing the Contact CI guys in America. They were doing haptic gloves, and they were going for like can you flex each finger and do real hand tracking stuff before hand tracking was the norm through computer vision, which it now is. But it was cool. It was great, and they wanted us to make some games. We got some test footage live here. This is sick. Bring it across you on the thing. Yeah, sick. It was cool. You made that one, and then we worked together on this one, the training simulator thing.
Did I make it?
You made the sculptor studio. You showed me that, and I was like, oh, you made that. We worked on that one together. The hospital room, was that Contact CI?
Yeah, no, I can't remember.
That was a different
I think
one.
we were just cramming everything. Like, I think I just put everything into a film.
Yeah.
But this was, we made like a bunch of like example games using the SDK of this haptic glove company.
3 of them. Yeah.
And Lucas had the glove in Australia, and he'd be like, oh, it's really not like this. It was like, well, oh yeah, we made this is to show all the controls and features and functionality. And I'd be like, oh yeah, like it's fine, it's working great. And then Lucas would be like, I'm really having trouble with the glove here, man.
I remember I heard an audible twang when I went to grab something, and I was like, that is one of the strings inside the glove going. And then that finger forever would just be like, chicka, 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 chicka. And I was like, okay, all right, I can't blame the glove. It's not the glove's fault.
So we've been making VR stuff for like ages. Like, so it's kind of like a
When
VR.
is this? 2017.
2017.
That's a long time.
Well, that's when That's
We
when I made the show reel.
Started working in 2016.
So that's like that sounds about right. And like you had to balance the spaceship's X and Y with two different levers that were far away enough that and it would, the more off course it would be.
Yeah.
And then I remember we hit the, like, as you would get higher, it was a floating point error. Everything would go crazy. So then we made it so that the planet would shrink. You would stop at 100 meters and then the planet would shrink.
Yeah, we discovered floating point precision errors on this project.
And
until this point, we're just like, yeah, what's wrong? You just fly into the sky forever at speed of a rocket. What's the problem?
And you just be like in VR, like,
It was actually quite nauseating even for us as developers.
Is it supposed to be like this?
I think we went once to, there was a company, if someone wanted to hire us in, we went to like a job interview and we showed them this and they were like, wow, that's really cool. But they clearly were like, this is a terrifying experience to put into VR.
It's just
so,
like,
I know, kind of impressive, but also not from the UX point of view.
Yeah, I think, that like, and we've been working at Foria now for like 5 years.
Yeah, the next great segue.
Oh,
the next
thank
segment to jump over to is what is Aphoria? What's Aphoria?
Oh, okay.
What is
So
Aphoria?
do you want the After Dark version? Do you want the PR version?
I want the After Dark version.
Why did I phrase it like that?
Well, I want like, what's Aphoria from outside looking in, nose up against the glass edition?
So Foria, like, is a mixed reality studio. Are you asking me?
It's purely to explain the fact that it's like we both now work at this company and we applied our skills that we learned, and this is where we landed. It's cool. This podcast is not a Foria podcast. We have to mention it because it'll come up more than once.
The main thing we do. So we basically we did a like a contract for them. It might have even been, or maybe Trent was looking at this. Look, I was just tacking everything on at this point because we needed work. We basically were like running low on money.
We showed them what we did and they liked it. They were like, hey, this is cool. This is at least analogous or like tangential to what we do at the time.
And I think like Trent, like the whole company, but Trent especially, like he's pretty good at recognizing like taking a bet on people. Like I remember at the time, like we basically hired to do, actually we could probably show it now that I think about it. We were hired to do like work on something for Google I/O because we had early access to the. Did they?
It's ShareVox from Japan. That's cool. It's called ShareVox.
Oh, I started it. I went to Japan.
Okay, cool.
We could use this as the.
This was.
Hang on, let me pause.
The trailer's cooler than the app.
Yeah. So we made this.
That was pretty cool. What was it using? Firebase, right? I had a voxel engine because I wanted to try and do like I was like, how'd they do Minecraft? And then I showed Trent. He was like, oh, you were like, how do we do it in multiplayer? And then we discovered Firebase. Ian showed it. Was like, chuck it in multiplayer.
Wasn't the whole point was to use, or was it? No, it was a cloud anchors.
We used cloud anchors to share the alignment points so everyone would see the content in the same space. But the shared content went to Firebase. It was cool. And I remember this footage of you like going down Brunswick Street and dropping voxes.
Actually, what
do we call them? They voxes?
Voxes, probably.
Voxes.
ShareVox, Samuel Tate. Yeah, so like
Ben Fern's chucked it on his thing. Oh, because Ben Fern's worked on it as well?
Yeah. And technically I negotiated this all 10%
it's a long time ago.
of ShareVox as a company, which is so funny because we just all this like
ShareVox is a company?
Oh, like
That's
as a product.
sick.
I just was just like
in my stock in ShareVox.
Yeah, we all have 10%. But like it was cool, like so it's basically like a shared multiplayer voxel thing. And Trent really like at the start was just like, you guys obviously got some skills, like help ideate and develop it. And we got it ready and it got demoed at I/O, and then that led to like us being in the good books with Google, who put us forward to do Rewild, which was like a Netflix AR campaign for Our Planet.
Yeah. It was aligned with the Our Planet TV show on Netflix. Wanted to do some promo stuff. I didn't want to go into like a whole deep dive about Foria because it's just like it's a whole story. Like there's so much. We've done lots at Foria over the years.
It's an XR studio that has managed to pay our bills for 5 years, which is incredible. Probably longer actually.
We've had so many cool wins at Foria. It's great. And so it's like that is just going to be the background ambient noise of this podcast because we can't like we get to apply it. It's fun. It's great. Love the company. Love what we do. But it's not a Foria podcast. I just have to mention it. ShareVox.
Poly. What's the like how we could update the meshes? That was the there we go. This was made as a promotional thing for the poly upload feature.
Oh yeah. You're talking
So-
about like we baked them and you could upload them to Poly.
Yeah.
Was it called Poly?
But that's why we made this video, was for that.
Right.
For
Poly
that
update.
That's how I could remember to search it. Oh, and I used to have an undercut, which was until quite recently. It was fun.
It was cool.
And
It was
then
cool. It was good fun. Because I think at the time this was around the time that Pokemon Go was huge, and everyone was like, the future is obviously going to be some sort of combination of mixed reality stuff, but also social networks are huge and multiplayer gaming is huge. Pokemon Go was huge, and people were like, what's the next thing? And then we were like, well, Minecraft building together is fun. And then of course there's a lot more to Minecraft than just voxels, but we were just like, it seemed like an interesting crossover point, and people liked it. People had fun with it.
And I think I was really excited about the idea of solving. There was a lot of UX pain about getting people into the cloud anchor and then into the same space, let alone knowing how to paint 3D voxels
It was
with a
brand new.
phone.
It
which
was
is like,
the software was brand new for cloud anchors.
and like, but like, there's a really, and it's still not solved in a way that I see it, like a sort of macro and micro like alignment solve, where it's like you've got a top level map that gets you to about the anchor point.
Yeah.
And then at that point, like it like has the key to the cloud anchor for
Yeah.
that, and it switches you over to that, and then you can, so it's like
Yeah.
you can edit a like top level map with like pointers to like higher fidelity
Yeah.
alignment points.
Me and Alan had we worked on a project really quickly. We worked on a project where we were like, oh, the real cool thing to do would be like have it put on a GPS map thing. I think we're using Mapbox.
Was it CRC?
It was CRC.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any footage of it up there. We
Probably,
did
I
a
don't think
demo
so.
of it that was really fun, where you tracked your GPS and it did filtering and all that stuff. And then once you got close enough, it would tell you cloud anchors within range. But then you had like this weird thing where it's like, great, but which ones do you access? You know, it's cool if it's like a short list of just the ones the developers have. But in a public setting, how do you stop someone from coming into your building and being like updating your share box without telling you?
So that's like the account tag layer filter, where it's like, you know, you've got public layers that you can write to.
like log in, right?
Yeah.
We didn't do any of that.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you'd have to like, but it like it's so connected to like identity, and then like your ability to then publish to like different layers. So it's like the for layer, you can only see, discover, blah 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 if you've got the auth, but
It's
then
kind
you
of
can write to
document.
it.
It's kind of document.
It's a kind of document,
And
exactly.
you need to be able to give them like sharing authority and all that stuff, which
And-
is the whole thing.
Which is I still like, it's like that social, because we already have this like digital twin like content layer that is just maps, right? But it's like, and it's just Google Maps, but that's just one layer, but it's like such a rich content GPS based layer.
Yeah.
What was the question?
What is for you? The next question.
I hear
is,
them do that joke in the podcast a bit as well.
I'm gonna edit that out. Next question. This is way off topic. Where are we?
I'm looking for the CRC.
It's gone.
Here we go.
No, it's not. You found it. That's
Mate,
actually
I got
impressive.
fucking every file that I've ever even heard about.
Okay.
Remembered, connected via. Is this it?
Yeah, oh my god. Yes, I had to calibrate it. We were like, how do we know where north is? Because the something about the filter wasn't working.
Oh
for
yeah,
north.
yeah, and you had to like pray to fucking the lamb or something. to
Yeah,
find north. I
yeah,
can't remember.
yeah. Dude, show the compass thing. That was sick. Have you got where the?
Oh, it like tilts
I
up
thought
and
it was
tilts
cool.
down.
You had to like align your phone to the like magnetic north or some weird thing like that.
Yeah, I remember. It was felt,
Oh,
it
it's doing
felt so,
meshing.
like,
It's doing meshing.
it felt so like druidic.
Yeah, it's like a dowsing rod. It was very fun. And I had to be like, we need them to do this thing. How do you make it interesting? Yeah, see how that little arrow is pointing to the thing up ahead? I think that was like wayfinding, because we were like,
Yeah.
you need to be able to say directions.
And then we
right?
were using the like map alignment. But the thing is, it's just like a sort of like conveyance. Like the more confident you are, the less fuzzy you be with, you know what I mean? So instead of this being an exact arrow that can be wrong, it's more like, hey, it's kind of this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you know it's accurate,
Yeah.
like this is, now I'm just thinking about the
We
like
really-
various
We
issues.
were clearly so more excited about the potential for the software than where the software was able to actually deliver, right?
Yeah,
Like
this-
it's very shaky. Mobile AR like is still not the best. Like it's just hard to infer large spaces and mesh things and really get a strong hold on a position just from one lone camera feed.
And I would say we're basically beyond mobile phone based AR now. We used to that was almost all the work would be on that. But now with like the Quest visual pass through and then the Vision Pro, basically the same type of experience is deployed via headset.
We're not gonna. I guess like it's presumably not an extremely technical podcast, but like all the SLAM algorithms got down to like they've been just distilled and distilled and distilled to the point where it's like they're getting the most bang for their buck in terms of cost on the battery, right? Because that's the biggest toll on these headsets is like the battery's got to live long enough, and every frame it's trying to figure out where it is. So they've obviously got the like alignment algorithms to a very good point. Quest is really stable, Vision Pro is really stable, so a lot of that stuff is part and parcel, right?
Would you say do you think there's a place for mobile phone based AR in
Like going forward?
Do you know what I mean? Like maybe once it stops having to be the everything, it could then go back to being
I don't think so.
Something?
No, I don't think so. And I'm saying this based purely on the public's reaction to stuff like the Vision Pro and the Quest, is that like I think everyone's sort of like, no, the format's going to be your head and glasses.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of like the transition from all. I think the mobile walked so that the glasses could run, and we're just not there yet. And so everyone says like, do we still use the mobile stuff? What do we do?
And then people are kind of getting what we've been getting with like with the mobile AR. We've been saying, hey, there's this whole digital overlaid like content space. You can only see it with the mobile phone, but we can see it as everything. And people are seeing it now with the headsets on more and being like, oh, okay, I see.
It's clicking.
It's a whole, like, it is an immersive, it's a digital layer that exists on top of this reality, and I'm in it. You could only see it in the rectangle before.
I had a thought today on my way over here, thinking about starting the podcast and stuff to discuss, and I had this thought that I was like, it's a terrifying notion, but it's such a nebulous topic that I almost want to like save it in my back pocket, and we'll get there one day. But just talking
drop it now. This might be the only, if we don't get picked up by the networks.
It's very much like sort of hit the ground running sort of thing. I was thinking about like, it's so nebulous, but like I was thinking about, you know, at the moment we've got this issue where it's like, well, some people are on Twitter and that might be a bit left leaning. Some people on this and that's a bit right leaning. Blah blah blah. Can you imagine a world where what we're saying to people is, yeah, your eyes are that's like your digital overlay to the world, but then everyone's living in like, it's almost like taking the capacity to separate people's like visions of media and really even enabling them to even like exclude themselves from other worlds even more. You know what I mean? It's like the dark side of, but then I don't know, it's also a positive thing because you're enabling them to connect more. But I just feel like, wouldn't it be weird to be like, okay, I'm walking down the street seeing like media that aligns with what providers and companies know that I want to see and like, but then someone else is seeing completely different things in that space and I don't know what they're seeing. That's the part that's sort of like, well, wait a minute. You know what I mean? And I just had that thought on the way over, and I was like, "Oh, that is a huge kettle of fish."
All right, we're starting a new podcast. So I've got a 3-pointer.
Shoot.
So firstly, like, what that hits on, and I'm going to start with least relevant and easy to understand first.
Yeah.
And probably never get to the point that makes sense. Or, what that hits on is probably a theme is that like the AR and the VR visual. Like it is just a visual layer. It's a massive range of technology, but it's one component of a evolving tech landscape that's like accelerating like crazy. So the thing that I saw recently is that people with different media biases, it was like an Instagram, someone was posting Instagram, all the responses to the same post, if you're a guy versus a girl, were totally different.
Yeah.
And like, so there's this huge like underlying algorithmic advances that make it possible to like bifurcate reality.
Yeah.
And the data of doing that for Instagram is much more complex than changing the like visual stuff. But so then like it's like that like is very not just like possible, but like probable that like when we are having visually like digitally mediated visual realities, they will be algorithmically
sorted, filtered, right?
Because it's that's something else that's happening as well. And then the third point was, there's this great book, Futurological Congress, where like he kind of ends up in the future and everything's great, and then it turns out that that's an illusion, everything's shit. And basically, which is like,
well, it's funny because we use the term reality when we're like mixed reality, virtual reality, but then like it's a really powerful term that we're throwing around there. Like when you're talking about realities and swapping out the content that people see and hear, I don't know. I think there's some really overloaded questions for the philosophy side of things here and the ethical side of things, which isn't lost on people, but it still goes unanswered. We still take steps on a daily, yearly, annual basis towards this sort of thing, but I feel like no one ever pulls it up and says, what does it mean to have like every time I pick up the newspaper, it's different to the person next to me? There's something really profoundly interesting about that. And I'm not saying I have any idea what the answer is. It's just sort of the same thing that enables difference can go. It's just enabling difference. It doesn't not necessarily positive. And so that'll be an interesting question, I think. And I think the answer will end up being similar to the way that you think about how do you stop the current version of the internet from, divulging into like completely different diaspora for different people. You don't want to end up with this like completely parallel internet universe thing, right?
I guess like the only like the way I deal with those types of things is that we can't really change things in the way that we'd like to, because we might be wrong as well, but also it's like very hard to control. So it's more about like almost like mimetic evolution, where like the ideas that are the most functional and for the best overall good hopefully will win out. And the things that make the most sense will keep going, and the things that don't work.
Yeah.
And then I also think that there's this idea of psychofauna, which is just sort of like idea based like traps, like in the way that we would back in. I was just saying, I said it to Chloe recently, and then she was like, "What is that?" And then it's like some Twitter guy says it. Basically, I thought it was like, but it's like this idea of like kind of like back in the day, you would get like a human would get like picked up by megafauna because they didn't have the like whatever adaptive, like they got smashed by a mammoth because they didn't know to look out for them. We have like psychofauna, which is sort of like conceptual idea entities. And so it's sort of like, back in the day, you'd like get convinced that you had to pull your teeth out because George Washington had wooden teeth, I don't know, whatever. Or like you were addicted to like penny rags of the sort of old printing, whatever, right? It's like the same thing now. It's just like there's a information landscape that is moderately dangerous, and that people will, like, some people will be able to function and adapt to it and then adapt it themselves, but it's almost an external evolutionary force at this point. Like it's like the weather.
Yeah.
And then other people will fall victim to it, and like the things like Chloe was just showing me Coco Melon, which is this kids channel that is like
super popular.
They show kids, they have a like paying attention division, and they show kids that, and then like a guy shaving at the same time, and anytime the kid's looking at this is half remembered, so if he's looking at the shaving guy, then they're like, that bit's boring, we need to cut it.
Oh, I get it. What I mean. It's like an attention economy thing.
Yeah. So it's like that.
But they're like the guys cutting the bottom line sort of stuff. They're like, how do you maximize it?
It's not like a creative endeavor. It's like designed to like hypnotize children so that they can get ad time. So there's all these
a lot of eyes on that at the moment. People talk about like brain rot and like, it's a pretty serious topic which people are taking very seriously. And that's the theme of this podcast that we're tackling, is what is the right getting to the bottom of it.
Information online. No, I'm just
I think there'd be a lot of people who are, if they were listening to this podcast and they're like over 40, they would probably be saying, yeah, but what's the difference between the way the internet always was? Like if I go to someone's personal website, I'm being shown a completely different quote unquote reality to a different website. Maybe that's just the nature of interactive, personally prescribable media.
Or like the 80s and the latchkey kids like dropped in front of the TV for 16 hours to sell for. I think it's all to do with like information and value flows, which is money, which is advertising, and which is they've been doing that since before there was print.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like and that's why I'm like, I don't overthink the place of emerging technology, because it's hard to control and predict, and the overarching forces that influence it are so much bigger than us. But I do think that there's so much potential for good and creative expression and human connection that I like really work with the tools, despite knowing that they are transmission vectors for some of the newest, most dangerous psychofauna. Like, for example, the ability to generate like a parasocial relationship with an AI, which you could spawn, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's only ever going to get crazier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've both just had kids recently, so you're thinking more about like, how are you going to help them navigate an unknown landscape? You can't be
The reality is some of these questions simply go unanswered, and they won't be answered by us. They'll be answered by your children, because no one's.
But by the end of the series, they will be, and that's a guarantee.
Yeah. If it's not, email us and we'll
kill
apologize
us
in person. You can kill me. You didn't answer it. All right. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm bringing it back. I'm gonna do a reel in. This is like, we're working on that segments for the show. I'm doing what's called a reel in.
That's great.
Bring it back. Where are we?
Get a crook.
What room are we in?
Okay, so we're in the imagination chamber, aka the fart box.
You just named it live twice.
No, we're in my study actually, which is like, it's nice to have a place to work. I think it's like a nesting thing, but for like, I think in the 14th century I would have been a monk or something. Like I'm like, where can I get the most information?
Yep.
Like the monk type.
You'd be found in the scroll room with all likelihood.
Or like killed in a village because I like wasn't good at horse, whatever. But like I think that's
the scroll room.
We just like the monk type is just always looking for like some sort of desk and box.
Wherever the nearest source of truth is to unravel.
So we're in my study.
It's a good study and it's cool. We did spend a good amount of time setting it up and it's all ready to go and it's pretty exciting. It
is cool. I've always dreamed of having this exact situation. So I guess it's lucky for you guys to be in it.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Multicam. Oh wait, no. We'll go. There we go. Hey Lucas, what's the next question?
Thanks for asking. I'm gonna reel it in. I just want to reel in. The Vision Pro just launched in Australia about 2 weeks ago. It starts at $5,999. How many are you going to buy?
I am probably gonna get 0 for now. We got it for work. It's funny answering these questions because I know you know the answer. But I guess you don't know the flavor of it. We got new rule: no meta-analysis during the podcast.
Understood.
Starting now, because I'll just. So the Vision Pro, we got it for work, and I was actually pretty surprised with how great it was as an extension of my computing. Me and Lucas actually both went up to Sydney to the dev.
That's where I can segue to the next question.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. So we got to test it out, like having our own headsets a couple of times for like a full day, and I think that if I didn't work at Foria, I'd probably buy one as a development device, and then be stoked to have it as part of my computing mix, but I wouldn't buy it now. But I think that it will be my next major, like probably the next Vision, I imagine, would be my next major computing.
When Apple revealed this product to the public, they talked about it being the next main primary computing platform that replaces the laptop. In practice, do you agree? Do you see this replacing the humble laptop or desktop?
I think it's I kind of based my career on the thesis that will happen. Like I've always it's funny thinking back to how I thought it'd be self-driving cars, and like I remember telling Ray I'd want to upgrade a phone because they would be obsolete. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think so I think that the form factor, if they can get it right, it's fundamentally better. Like to be able to have all the types of screen. We've got so many screens here now, and then I was maybe losing a bit of. No, I think unless the limit is physics, they can't get what we need lighter than we can deal with.
I feel like just based on what I've heard, and I'm not an expert in the field by any measure, I do feel like I've heard a few reports of things like you're getting electrons jumping transistors, and when things get to the atomic level, stuff starting to hit some of the walls of physics, right? At least a little bit, and it's like that will get freed up by material sciences and energy sciences and battery technology and stuff like that. But eventually you're just going to exhaust the nanometer process at some point, and then the question I guess might become, maybe we will have to consider using what we have better. But I think that maybe that I already got the impression that that's how the Vision Pro's development process maybe even went. They already looked at it and went, it needs its own operating system. You need to exhaust what we already have to get the most out of this thing. We got what we got in the end.
But it is the first one. Yeah. If you think of the development cycle, you could make it it proves firstly it's a laptop. It's an M2.
And an R1, a separate chip that handles just the alignment slam stuff. That's my understanding. And
then I don't think it's unreasonable to imagine cloud and distributed computing. If you look at on the far end of the spectrum is the big screen VR, ironically, is the smallest, most tiniest little thing that weighs nothing. And so someone that's sitting at a computer all day, I don't think it's unreasonable to imagine they've got their compute with them, and then they've got a little pair of glasses. And then I think that the Vision OS, developing with it and using building for a system that is an existing operating system and creating XR content that extends from it and getting a taste for what it would be like to develop spatially for a mature operating system, I was like, yeah, this is
Mm.
like even just using it at like and being in it and developing and pushing to it, and I've got the screen and like the small thing, but the fidelity of the screen, it's comfortable to read.
Yeah.
I've kind of maybe refocused me on my instinct when I first tried VR, which is that like, yeah, this will be the main way that you interact, but maybe it's for like initially for like people that use the computer a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's not the cool kid at the skate park with it on.
No, but I think everyone always assumes that we'll reach that point sooner than later, right? I think there is some idea that is the general desired trajectory for this product space. For example, if you were to take the Vision Pro in its current form, shrink it down to the comfort form factor of something like a big screen beyond, do you think you would be seeing like a much wider uptake, especially if somehow magically the price point dropped as well? Do you think you would be seeing like people walking down the street with this thing on in an unironic way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like the current like target audience is the power computer user, because it like extends the computer interface, whereas like the cool mobile phone user, it's not about having lots of capability, it's more about the broadcasting and connection elements.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but then like you just have to imagine that like the consumption habits will change. Like people will be producing spatial video, like for example, Trent is filming in spatial glasses vision.
Quick question, who's Trent?
Trent's our boss, our benefactor and friend, the tallest
champion in general,
CEO of Foria, because he's the tallest. That's my joke. Yeah, it's not. No one really gets it. It's just like, it's just. Is it funny? The other day I was saying something, yes, and I was like, "It's a joke," and Chloe was like, "Is it? Like, is that funny?" Not that joke, a different joke that was not funny, or like, it's more of a just weird sentence.
Human subjective.
Because it'd be funny if that's how you picked who was the boss.
Yeah.
But that is usually how, like,
prehistoric, baby.
Right? Like, and he's tall and he's great. He gave us a job. Yeah. If he's watching, he's probably the only person that will have watched this far. If anyone. Trent said, oh yeah, so he's recording his baby in spatial vision. Sorry, Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which is like has little double cameras, and his phone does it because he's, like a lot of phones record in, and then he's got the Vision OS and he's seeing these 3D videos of his baby.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you can imagine then like he's sending that to so and so, and then they're like, oh man, I wish I could see. Like I'm like, I wish I could see. I wish I could film like that. And I just think that it's just like we are information creatures, and we like dandelions or sunflowers to the sun. We go to the highest information density, and that's what those systems are. And so I do think that the skateboarder person will be like, well, I want to see my spatial 3D kickflip. And so I'm like, oh, well, I will get the glasses. I'm like, well, I'm seeing him now, and then, but it's like, there's like this sort of like product tech roadmap that like could be so different in how it looks.
I can foresee people like the, TikTok of the future being like, hey, I'm going to watch myself do this kickflip in first person because someone filmed it using that format, and I can now just go and view that. Like, is that where this is going? Or is that purely just like this weird novel kind of media that is exciting to create, but not necessarily consume on a daily basis because it maybe lacks long format?
Well, the skateboarding TikToker is like, maybe they're there and they're essentially, it's just like, it's a mix of like how they're recording as well as consuming, where like the higher data bandwidth means that like someone can be recording, aka we're broadcasting right now with 2 cameras. Don't worry about that. It's like a bot. But like someone could be broadcasting spatially, and then like also then being able to visualize their audience at the same time. So the people that are live streaming the skateboarding person could basically be a little ghost crowd with them. And so like the format of media, like even now, like the TikTok live stream with all the people, it's like a kind of shared digital experience as much as it is one person broadcasting to another. And so like you could imagine that like someone's broadcasting a spatial experience and then the audience is there with them. But like we're sort of the 1900s futurists imagining like the phone on the powered by a bicycle.
I can't help but feel like a Jetson, you know what I mean? Like this is obviously not the way it's going to work, but like someone's got to answer the questions. You start by having crappy answers, and then people go, what was wrong with that answer, right? And then it's an iterative, you walk before you can run sort of thing. And so we think about it like, well, they're going to put it in the briefcase and fold it up. But then eventually, I don't know, they'll be like, well, everything's just like you either someone filmed it and it gets pinched to that global space and you can rewind time, and that turned out to be the best format. It's like, okay, you go to the skate park and you look at all the holograms of tricks people did there because someone filmed it and uploaded it, or they didn't. I don't know. Maybe that's just how it's all gonna be assumed, and you don't know what format it'll settle on.
And that's the fun, like, is that we get to make little mini hypotheses and test them in real time. And it's frustrating sometimes because it's like we have this idea in our head and then it looks like what you saw in the video. But like that's the work of what we do.
It's frontierism
is
truest form.
Making these little tests and seeing how people interact with them, and then that changes our thinking, and it really is like a lifelong thing.
Yeah,
we're laying the groundwork for the stuff that like future generations will have that we wish we could have.
Yeah,
like the people like figuring out punch cards to make
yeah
computers work, imagining computers.
My favorite part is when the future people who've got these incredible solutions that they just take for granted look back and say, yeah, it's better when you could look at like just the VHS tape. You had to rewind the tape. At the time, people were like, why don't you rewind this tape? But then people look back and they're like, there's a purity to it. Do you think people will look back at like Sharebox and be like, oh, such a purity to it? It was just building blocks and spatial.
Maybe not Sharebox. I don't know how much that'll get recorded, but I think like stuff like physical screens, like I can imagine that almost becoming a flex in the future.
That already is to me. I'm one of those weird CRT fans.
But like, I mean, these ones, like just like screens get phased out and they're all digital.
Like flat screen is.
Yeah, and they'll be like, wow, you've got an old monitor. Like, isn't that crazy? It's like the pixels are pure, man, because it's like a full grid, right? And it's in space.
Physical,
so
it's real.
It's like ray marching, right? But in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I unironically can see that happening. Hey, I'm gonna reel it in. Smash. Rewild's got to the top of the What's Hot section on the Vision Pro App Store, so that's cool.
Yeah, so it's to come back to like this is like Rewild in 2019 was people seeing it through their phones, right? Oh, here we go. This is funny. Like there's Trent. Hang on, where's
Mr. Blair?
I'm in more of the videos because I was up earlier in the day. So like people are looking at their screens here. So off the Sharebox thing, right? That got us this job, like for ya. And then next minute, like Lucas is in Singapore and I'm in New York, like shipping this, and we see like a digital immersive layer that people are in, but the only way you could see it was through your phone, right? So all these people here are like
through a Pixel 2.
Through a Pixel 2, 20 Pixel 2s, all hitting a NUC to have like shared, co-located, whatever. Now, fast forward to Rewild Vision OS. So we basically did a project where we ported it, and that's don't worry about that. One person didn't like it, that's fine.
I got back to him.
Hot this week. Oh, it's still there. I realized. You did get back to them?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just said, I was like, thanks for the feedback.
Should we clap back on Reddit right now? No.
Drop some heat.
I'm glad you saw it because I'm so sensitive. I would have been like, but I actually read their message and it seemed pretty nice. Like they were like I don't quite know how.
They were just saying that they're like, it's not interactive, more interactivity. But it's like, yeah, we know that.
Yeah,
we know it's not interactive. It's part of a museum.
I'm so sorry that we didn't make the. Anyway, I'm definitely not. Actually, to be honest, I'd just be normal.
Yeah, that's fine. You can't please everyone.
So anyway, we're like. What was crazy this moment was we ported what was an old mobile phone app that we saw like this to the Vision Pro, and then we were able to
we rejigged one of the episodes that was normally happening as a multiplayer experience in a museum context with a big shared screen and shared voting. We just took one of the episodes and ported it to the Vision Pro.
All the good media is just like on my Twitter Samuel Tate's Rewild Vision. Is this gonna work? It's gonna make me log in. Hang on. So like,
we'll edit this out.
We saw, yeah, we'll edit it. We were able to see what we saw on the mobile in real life now, and so it's cool to see some of those things come to play. How did you feel seeing the
Surreal. It was absolutely surreal seeing yourself. I think the weird part was like, I know, I just don't. It almost felt like a bug. You know what I mean? You see it and you're like, I think it's just, am I just seeing the icon that I see on a daily basis on GitHub? You know what I mean? Like, am I just hallucinating this thing being next to Disney Plus? It was pretty cool. I'm very excited by that. I think like I'm very excited for any achievements we get. It's like, super cool.
And it was just crazy to see like content that we knew could be like life size, but always seen in a mobile phone. And it really like kind of made our career in some ways, like that, like we pulled that off with Netflix and everything like that, kind of led to Ecosphere, and then to actually see it like in full scale around you in the headset, it was like it kind of was like affirming of like our ideas from 5 years ago.
I think it was interesting to see how it translated. Like it was almost drag and drop, right? We updated, I think, the way that sequencing stuff worked, some of the tools, but like it just sort of worked. You took the idea of pinching and dragging and tapping, became a pinch drag. It was cool. I was pretty happy with it. And
it was like stuff that you just like, we never got to see, like the details on the boats here, like, right, you're seeing those through like a mobile phone or whatever, and it's like, wow, look, like this is, and then what's kind of cool is like that's from like however many years ago. Now we're playing with like different media formats and like kind of taking it to the next level. So
it just really is frontierism. Like it's more a matter of like what do you want to depict and where do you want to depict it. You know what I mean? When like with an M2 and a Vision Pro, you're not really stuck with too much overhead. You can kind of draw whatever you want. The question becomes, what do you want to try and draw?
It is that, I think that's the like suddenly arriving at the place where all the things that we couldn't do aren't a problem. And I'm like, what were the ideas that I had 6 years ago when I wasn't like, my brain wasn't turned to mush from...
Well, I guess the idea, stuff like rockets and garbage in. But then like VR design like is different to mixed reality design, because you couldn't play a game where you think on the back of a garbage truck sliding through a town. You can't play that in mixed reality because you're not going to sell that there's a garbage truck in your room and that it's moving. So I don't know, VR design versus mixed reality design.
Well, it's like some of the VR stuff I was doing, because mixed reality was a twinkle in the eye, right? And
sure
so
was.
I think like, you know, and that's the kind of stuff we're working on like at live. So, you know, hopefully, well, anyone that's watches the YouTube is probably like completely overwhelmed by how much like high density.
No, credit to the audience, you know, they'll keep pace.
Well, normally I'll just be like, so like, they'll just be like, wow, I've never seen Sam talk this much or make this much eye contact.
Like cranking the
He doesn't even look like he's going to cry.
We're getting up to that. We're working up to it. So why were you bullied? No. Going to Sydney was fun. That was great. Going to Sydney, working with Apple was fun. Doing some of that was a bit of secret sauce.
That was surreal. It keeps being like, every time we fly somewhere for using the computer, I'm just like, I always dreamed of being I was in bands, like being a rock star, and then I kind of gave up and was like, I'll be a software developer. And then they're like, we need you in like Sydney for the...
You need it in Dubai, quick.
Oh,
go to Dubai. You need to program in Dubai.
Because I'm like, I know how to fucking use the computer.
Yeah.
Good. We're both great at using the computer. I would say that's a...
I'd put it on my resume at this point. Absolutely. How much time have we got? How much have we recorded?
We've been going for so long. Not so long, but I feel like...
If you cut things down, we've probably got enough of an episode here.
Oh, yeah.
Surely, because then I put it this way, the next one we'll be talking about AI, and that's a
No,
big
we shouldn't talk about AI.
Big kettle of fish.
I'm really impressed with how we've done. I'm like worried that I've been talking too much, but that's okay. We can cut that out.
You can always edit things down if you want, but I think
I can. You know what I mean.
The best thing to do is you record as much as you want, and then you scoop the cream off the top. You know what I mean? That's what you do. So
have you felt like you've been able to talk?
Yeah,
enough.
Yeah,
I haven't just been like interrupting and.
No,
I'm having a really good time, but then I'm like, often that's a like I've peed in the pool kind of feeling where I'm like, have I been talking too much?
No, I think this is good. This is the exact sort of tone I was.
See, this is the stuff they expect on the stream, is me being like, did I just do the social version of pissing my own pants?
Unplug something. No, I think it's fine. It's cool. Do you want to wrap it up there? And we'll come back. We'll do it.
Oh yeah, but you're gonna do an outro.
I
thought that's I've been waiting for you to do an outro.
Wait for me to do an outro. I do have outro written. I have no notes to do it. So,
hey, thanks so much for kicking back and hearing a bit about where we've come from. I guess, Lucas, I've got a question for you. In the coming week, what are you excited about testing out?
What am I excited about testing out? It's a really good question. Oh my gosh.
Weird outro.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new topic outro. Lots. The reality is lots. Honestly, I still want to go back and play Elden Ring. Play the Elden Ring
testing
DLC,
out the computer.
Testing out the computer. Which computer?
Oh, Elden Ring. The one that has Elden Ring on it.
Oh, yeah. I got to test it out. I'm doing QA for Elden Ring, which means playing through the DLC.
and because I'm thinking it's sort of like a little like teaser for like what might be next week. So
Sure,
I'm excited
sure.
about I'm excited about I really want to. Oh no, it is a hard question. Why
It's
do they?
hard. You can talk about it in a small way. How about this?
I'm excited about going on the computer. I downloaded the Big Llama, and what I want to try and do is run. I saw it's called XO, where you can run it distributed across multiple like Silicon Macs.
Yeah, right.
I'm really excited about that.
That does sound really cool. You would need more than one Silicon Mac. Have you got one Silicon Mac? What? Oh my god, you're gonna try. Okay.
And Travs and the M2 at work, all the work computers together.
Okay.
We'll
I
do
see.
it together.
I see.
But
pretty cool.
I think
Pretty
I just like the sound of it.
Yeah. I can't wait to ask you. I think I've got some really good questions for next episode because
Okay.
I wanted. It's going to open up the ethics of AI and where does that go in the same way that we talk about Vision Pro.
Yeah.
I think there's some really good questions.
Okay. Yeah. So, thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in.
I guess you have to sort of do a sort of like.
I think you just call the outro music takes the load.
And then we go. Like,
yeah, and you go. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Spatial Jam, episode 1.
And then it's like the B-roll, or like it's like it pans out and they're like,
Yeah.
and you can't hear them anymore because they're talking like, oh yeah, how about we got
right.
the barbecue.
And that's so cool. You know the best part of I can't wait the chorizo on the barbecue.
Oh, I love that type of flavor.
I'm not gonna sleep.
Hang on, we need
So-
some. Oh, like it's like imagine just like having a whole stack of
Yeah,
keyboards that you're
yeah.
shuffling.
Yeah, shuffle.
It's like that's
I start unplugging wires.
computer rolling it up, Alright. And that's and then we slowly fade to. I don't know how to.